Stellar XLM and Tron TRX are considered as great investment opportunities by many. But the question we are looking to answer is, which one is better? And by the end of today's video, you will be able to decide on your own, because we will cover and explain both from scratch. And as every video on Bitcoin Academy, this one is also 100% beginner-friendly. First one we will cover is Stellar XLM. What is Stellar, and why was it created? Stellar is a blockchain-based network created to move money, any kind of money, quickly, cheaply, and across borders. But to truly understand why Stellar exists, you need to look at the person behind it, Jed McCaleb. Before founding Stellar, Jed was actually one of the original co-founders of Ripple XRP, another major crypto project focused on transforming international payments. While working on Ripple, Jed believed in the core idea of faster, cheaper money transfers. But over time, he grew frustrated with how Ripple was becoming more focused on working with large banks and financial institutions, while neglecting the original mission of financial access for everyday people. So in 2014, he left Ripple and launched Stellar, a new network with a different philosophy. Instead of building tools for banks, Stellar wanted to create a platform that could empower regular users, especially in parts of the world where traditional banking is slow, expensive, or even unavailable. And to make that happen, Stellar was built as an open, public network, meaning anyone could use it or build on it without needing permission from a central authority. The goal was simple but powerful. Make it easy for people to send any currency, dollars, pesos, Bitcoin, you name it, to anyone, anywhere, in just a few seconds, and for a tiny fee. At the heart of this system is the Stellar blockchain, which keeps a global record of transactions and makes sure everything runs smoothly and securely. And unlike Bitcoin, which relies on energy-hungry mining, Stellar uses a unique and lightweight consensus system that makes it fast and efficient without needing tons of electricity. But we will explore this mechanism deeper in later topics. From the beginning, Stellar positioned itself as a bridge, not just between currencies, but between people and opportunity. Whether you're a worker sending money home to family, a small business accepting international payments, or a developer building new financial apps, Stellar was designed to make that process simple, affordable, and accessible to all. All right, now we know what Stellar is, but let's go ahead and see the way Stellar moves money without traditional banks, because that is what really sets it apart. When most people think of sending money across borders, they imagine slow bank wires, high fees, and a bunch of middlemen taking a cut along the way. Stellar changes all of that. At its core, Stellar is designed to move any currency, whether it's dollars, euros, pesos, or even other cryptocurrencies, quickly and affordably, without needing a traditional bank or payment processor. And it does this using a clever system of digital tokens and smart network design. Here's how it works. When you send money on Stellar, you don't actually need to send the specific currency itself. Instead, you can use a digital version of that currency, known as a fiat-backed token or stable asset. For example, a token representing US dollars like USDC can exist on the Stellar network, and you can send that to someone else, just like sending an email. If that person wants to receive a different currency, say euros or Bitcoin, Stellar can automatically convert the funds at the best available exchange rate through its built-in decentralized exchange. This makes currency swaps instant and seamless. No need to visit a bank or wait days for an international transfer to go through. What powers this flexibility is a network of anchors, trusted financial partners who issue these digital assets and help bridge the gap between real-world money and the Stellar blockchain. These anchors could be payment companies or even mobile money providers, and they serve as on and off ramps for users. So if you want to deposit real dollars and send them through Stellar, an anchor handles that for you and gives you a tokenized version of your money to use on the network. And once the transaction is complete, your recipient can cash out in their local currency through a different anchor on their end. All of this happens in seconds, not days, and usually for a fraction of a penny in fees. This is why Stellar is such a powerful tool for remittances, cross-border commerce, and financial access in underbanked regions. It removes the friction and cost that traditional financial systems have struggled to eliminate. And you are about to see in this topic a small but important token, XLM, which plays a big role in making all of this possible. It is the core token behind the Stellar network. While Stellar allows you to send pretty much any currency across its blockchain, it still needs a native token to keep things running smoothly. That token is called Lumens, or XLM for short. But what exactly does it do? And why is it necessary if you're mostly sending dollars, euros, or stablecoins? The answer comes down to two key roles: fees and bridging. First, let's talk about transaction fees. Every time someone sends a payment on Stellar, a tiny fee, often less than a fraction of a cent, is required, and it must be paid in XLM. These fees aren't meant to generate huge profits. They exist to prevent spam and abuse. If sending 1 million fake transactions costs nothing, anyone with internet connection could flood the network. But if each transaction, even a tiny one, requires just a bit of XLM, it becomes too expensive to launch those kinds of attacks. So in that sense, XLM acts like a kind of postage stamp, a small but essential requirement that keeps the network secure and clean. The second major role of XLM is bridging between currencies. Let's say someone wants to send euros but only has dollars. If there isn't a direct market between those two tokens on the network, Stellar can use XLM as an intermediate step, converting dollars to XLM and then XLM to euros, all in a split second and behind the scenes. This function is especially useful in places where direct liquidity between currencies is low. By having a universally available token that every user and exchange supports, Stellar can connect currencies that might otherwise have no relationship at all. And that's a big part of what makes Stellar special. It's not just about sending one type of money faster. It's about creating a network where any currency can move seamlessly, regardless of geography, banking access, or infrastructure. And XLM is the glue that helps hold that system together. So, even though you may never actually spend XLM in the way you would Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's still a vital part of the engine that keeps Stellar working behind the scenes, ensuring transactions are cheap, fast, and universal. All right, we got that now. But how does Stellar actually manage to be fast and cheap? Let's go behind the engine and explain that. We will take a closer look at what actually powers Stellar behind the scenes, because unlike Bitcoin, Stellar doesn't rely on mining or energy-hungry validators. Instead, it uses something called the Stellar Consensus Protocol, or SCP. This protocol is one of the key reasons why Stellar is able to offer fast, cheap, and secure transactions without the environmental costs or congestion problems seen in older blockchains. So, how does it work? The magic lies in how decisions are made on the network. In systems like Bitcoin, transactions are grouped into blocks, and miners race to solve complex puzzles to confirm those blocks and add them to the blockchain, a process known as proof of work. This requires massive amounts of electricity and computing power, and it slows things down. Stellar, on the other hand, uses a completely different method. Instead of miners, Stellar relies on a network of trusted nodes, also known as validators, to agree on which transactions are valid. These validators don't compete against each other. They cooperate. Each validator chooses a small group of other trusted validators. This is called a quorum slice. When enough validators agree within their overlapping slices, a transaction is confirmed. This process is called federated consensus. It's fast, efficient, and doesn't require massive computing resources. In fact, transactions on Stellar typically settle in just 3 to 5 seconds, and the fees are so low, often a tiny fraction of a cent, that most users won't even notice them. This makes Stellar ideal for microtransactions, cross-border payments, and any use case where speed and affordability matter. It also means that Stellar can scale more efficiently than proof-of-work blockchains, making it better suited for global financial applications. Another big benefit of this consensus model is accessibility. Anyone can run a validator node, and there's no need to own expensive hardware or pay high entry fees. This opens the door to broader participation and helps maintain the decentralized nature of the network. In simple terms, Stellar achieves its speed and low cost because it was designed to, from the ground up, using a protocol that prioritizes efficiency and collaboration over raw computing power. So next time you send money with Stellar and it arrives in seconds with almost no fee, just remember, that's not luck. It's the result of a smart, elegant system running smoothly behind the scenes. And now that you know how Stellar achieves this performance, it's time to look deeper inside at who's actually running the network and making sure it stays fair and secure. For any blockchain to function, it needs people or systems to keep it secure and updated. In Stellar's case, that job is shared between a network of validators and a nonprofit organization called the Stellar Development Foundation, or SDF. First, the validators. These are independent computers, run by individuals, companies, and institutions that participate in the Stellar Consensus Protocol we discussed earlier. Validators play a critical role in approving transactions and keeping the network in sync. But here's the key part. No single validator is in charge. Stellar was built to be decentralized, meaning no central authority has control over the entire system. Instead, validators independently decide who they trust, forming those quorum slices we mentioned, and reach agreement through cooperation, not competition. That makes the network both resilient and scalable. Anyone can run a validator node. There's no need for expensive hardware or special permission. As more trusted validators join from different parts of the world, the network becomes stronger and more decentralized. Now let's talk about the Stellar Development Foundation. This is the nonprofit that helps guide the development of Stellar, maintain the software, and promote adoption around the world. It was founded in 2014 by Jed McCaleb and Joyce Kim, and it operates out of San Francisco. Importantly, the foundation doesn't control the network. It's more like a steward. It builds tools, helps onboard new partners like banks and fintech companies, and supports projects that align with Stellar's mission of financial inclusion. It also holds a portion of the XLM supply to fund its work, but these funds are publicly tracked and used transparently. While some critics argue that having a single foundation involved could reduce decentralization, Stellar's open validator system helps balance that out. The foundation is one voice, a powerful one, yes, but not the only one that matters. And over time, the goal has been to expand the validator base so that the network becomes more distributed and community-driven. So in short, Stellar is run by a mix of decentralized validators and a nonprofit foundation that supports the ecosystem. This hybrid approach allows for fast innovation without sacrificing the principles of openness and decentralization. All right, now we'll explore how this unique setup compares to its most closely related project, Ripple, and why, despite their shared roots, the two networks are heading in very different directions. When people first hear about Stellar, it's almost impossible not to bring up Ripple in the same conversation. After all, both were co-founded by the same person, Jed McCaleb, and both are focused on improving the way money moves across borders. But even though Stellar and Ripple share a common origin and similar goals, the way they go about achieving those goals and the communities they serve are very different. Let's break it down in a way that's easy to understand. Ripple, or XRP, was designed primarily as a solution for large financial institutions. Its main focus is helping big banks and payment providers move large amounts of money more efficiently, using a private network that operates with speed and low fees. Ripple's strategy has been very business-focused from the start, signing deals with global banks, central banks, and financial companies. This makes XRP more like a behind-the-scenes tool used to improve traditional financial systems, not replace them. Now compare that to Stellar. From day one, Stellar positioned itself as a public, open network focused on inclusion, not just for banks, but for individuals. While Ripple is aiming to upgrade how banks operate, Stellar is trying to create a new system altogether, one where everyday people in underserved regions can access digital financial tools directly. That's why Stellar works with NGOs, mobile money platforms, and community-focused fintechs, not just institutions. Another major difference lies in control. Ripple Labs, the company behind XRP, holds a large portion of the total XRP supply and has significant influence over the network. Stellar, on the other hand, is run by a nonprofit foundation and a decentralized group of validators, giving it a more community-driven feel. This difference in structure often leads people to see Ripple as more centralized and Stellar as more open and decentralized. Technologically, the two also differ. While they both use consensus protocols that don't rely on mining, Ripple uses a permissioned system where only selected nodes can validate transactions, whereas Stellar's protocol allows anyone to become a validator, making it more open to participation. In practice, that means Stellar has chosen a more grassroots path, while Ripple has gone the corporate route. Neither approach is inherently wrong. They simply serve different goals. If you're a multinational bank trying to settle millions in cross-border payments, Ripple might be your solution. But if you're a small business in Africa trying to send money to a supplier in Europe, Stellar could be a better fit. So, while Stellar and Ripple may seem similar at first glance, the more you look into their philosophy, technology, and purpose, the more the differences become clear. They're not enemies. They're just playing different roles in the same global game of reinventing finance. Okay. In our next topic, we'll look at whether people are actually using Stellar today and who's really benefiting from what it has to offer. Because all the tech in the world doesn't matter if no one is actually using it. So who's using Stellar today? And how is it helping? First off, Stellar has built some solid partnerships over the years, including with major global players like MoneyGram and IBM. Let's start with MoneyGram. Traditionally known for its brick-and-mortar money transfer services, MoneyGram partnered with Stellar to enable users to send and receive stablecoins like USDC across borders. This integration means someone can walk into a local MoneyGram location, convert cash into digital dollars on Stellar, send it anywhere in seconds, and the recipient can withdraw it as cash again, all without needing a bank account. It's a big step toward bridging the gap between traditional finance and blockchain for everyday users. Then there's IBM, which used Stellar to power its WorldWire platform. This was an ambitious project aimed at enabling banks to settle international transactions in seconds using stablecoins and XLM. While IBM has since pulled back from WorldWire, the project demonstrated how powerful Stellar's infrastructure can be for large-scale finance. But beyond big names, Stellar also has a strong presence in emerging markets. In Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America, where banking infrastructure is limited, Stellar enables mobile money services, remittances, and micropayments that would be too costly or slow using traditional systems. For example, a worker in Kenya can send funds instantly to family in the Philippines, using Stellar's network and local anchors to handle the currency exchange on both ends. NGOs and charities have also found value in Stellar's low-cost infrastructure. Some humanitarian organizations use the network to distribute aid digitally, giving recipients direct access to funds without waiting for bank transfers or dealing with currency conversion issues. And developers are building on Stellar too. From wallet apps to fintech startups, the ecosystem is growing with projects that use Stellar's tools to create payment solutions, lending platforms, and decentralized apps. That kind of grassroots innovation is important because it shows that Stellar isn't just a theoretical system. It's something that real people are integrating into real financial tools. Now, is Stellar being used as much as Ethereum or Bitcoin? No, not yet. But its focus isn't hype or speculation, it's utility, especially in places where other systems fall short. So while you may not hear about it in the headlines every day, Stellar is quietly powering a new kind of global finance. One that's fast, open, and designed to work for everyone, not just the privileged few. All right, I believe it is time to answer most important question about Stellar, and that is its future outlook. Does it really have a future in a world dominated by giants like Ethereum, Solana, and emerging central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs? On the surface, Stellar may seem like a smaller player compared to Ethereum's massive ecosystem or Solana's speed-focused network. But Stellar was never trying to compete on the same battleground. While Ethereum is focused on smart contracts and decentralized apps, and Solana pushes the limits of high-throughput DeFi, Stellar has always kept its mission laser-focused. Fast, low-cost, borderless payments, especially for the underserved. That focus is its strength. As blockchain grows more mainstream, different networks will serve different purposes. Ethereum might be the go-to for NFTs and DeFi, Solana for speed-hungry trading, but Stellar is carving out a space where it matters most, connecting the unbanked and powering everyday financial tools. One of Stellar's key advantages in this evolving ecosystem is its simplicity. While others build increasingly complex chains, Stellar keeps things straightforward. Fast consensus, easy token issuance, and near zero fees. That makes it incredibly appealing for real-world businesses and developers who want to build something practical without jumping through hoops. And in a future where CBDCs become common, Stellar could act as the plumbing beneath the surface. Its technology can help governments or institutions distribute digital currencies efficiently, especially across borders, without reinventing the wheel. In fact, Stellar has already been involved in early discussions and pilot programs for blockchain-based stablecoins and sovereign digital currencies. It may not issue CBDCs directly, but it can play a critical role in how they move across the globe. Now, can Stellar beat Ethereum or Solana? Probably not in terms of market cap or media hype, but it doesn't have to. Stellar is playing the long game, quietly building bridges in the background while others chase headlines. And with a nonprofit foundation guiding development and a decentralized validator system that anyone can join, it's also positioned to adapt as the crypto world matures. Whether it's helping NGOs distribute aid, enabling cross-border payroll for freelancers, or powering mobile wallets in remote villages, Stellar is showing that financial infrastructure doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to work. So can Stellar compete in a future full of Ethereum, Solana, and CBDCs? The answer is absolutely. Not by being the loudest, but by being the most useful where it matters most. And in a global financial system desperate for simplicity, speed, and inclusion, that might be the most valuable role of all. All right, next on the line is Tron TRX, one of the fastest rising cryptocurrencies in entire history. Let's dive in and see how it got to that spot. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is Tron, and why did it even need to exist in the first place? Tron is a blockchain built for speed, affordability, and accessibility. It was designed to help people share digital content, make payments, and build decentralized apps, dApps, without dealing with the high fees and congestion often found on Ethereum. Instead of focusing on expensive NFTs or speculative projects, Tron aimed to be a practical, everyday blockchain, a platform where users in developing countries, creators, and builders could interact quickly and at almost no cost. Whether someone wants to send stablecoins across borders or stream digital content with instant microtransactions, Tron was built with that kind of frictionless experience in mind. While many blockchains talk about freedom or decentralization in vague terms, Tron's approach has always been simple. Give users a way to move value easily, without permission or middlemen, especially where traditional systems fail. This emphasis on usability over flashiness made it one of the most used networks for payments and transfers globally. While it might not get the same attention as Ethereum or Solana in the media, Tron is quietly powering billions in transactions, especially in parts of the world where speed, cost, and accessibility are non-negotiable. From day one, Tron's purpose was clear. Take blockchain technology out of the hands of a few and make it practical for the many. That vision remains central to its growth story today. Now that we understand what Tron is, let's talk about the man behind it, Justin Sun, a polarizing figure in the crypto world. Born in China and educated in both China and the US, Justin rose to prominence in his 20s as a flashy, high-energy entrepreneur with a talent for promotion. Before Tron, he had already worked on blockchain projects and was known for his ties to Ripple. But it was Tron that made him a global name, not just for the technology, but for the bold moves and media stunts that came with it. In 2019, he famously bid $4.5 million for a charity lunch with Warren Buffett, only to cancel it under mysterious circumstances, fueling rumors and headlines. Justin is known for making big announcements and moving fast, sometimes too fast for the crypto establishment's comfort. Critics say he overhypes Tron and keeps too tight a grip on its direction. Supporters argue that without him, Tron wouldn't be where it is today, one of the top 10 crypto assets by market cap with a robust global user base. Whether you see him as a marketing genius or a self-promoter, one thing is clear. Justin Sun played a massive role in getting Tron off the ground and keeping it relevant in an ultra-competitive space. His presence, for better or worse, is deeply tied to Tron's brand and progress. But before Tron became a global blockchain for payments and smart contracts, it had a very different mission. When Tron launched in 2017, its mission was to decentralize the internet, not just in theory, but in practice. The main focus? Content creation and distribution. Imagine YouTube, Netflix, or Spotify. But instead of being controlled by centralized corporations that take large cuts of ad revenue or subscriptions, Tron aimed to create a system where creators got paid directly by their audience using crypto. No gatekeepers, no censorship, and no intermediaries. This idea attracted a wave of early adopters, especially in Asia, where platforms like YouTube often face restrictions or monetization issues. Tron's white paper talked about building a global entertainment system powered by blockchain, allowing users to upload, distribute, and consume digital content without needing a middleman to validate or monetize it. It was a bold goal, and while Tron has shifted focus more toward financial infrastructure in recent years, this original vision still echoes in its technology. The Tron Virtual Machine, TVM, was created to allow developers to build apps that could support this kind of peer-to-peer interaction, and the TRX token would be the core fuel for all of it. In the long run, Tron hoped to make content more accessible and creators more empowered, removing friction and bias from the process. Even today, some of Tron's ecosystem projects are still aligned with that media-first ethos, though the majority of its success has come from payment systems and stablecoin infrastructure. All right, time to get a bit more technical. Let's break down how Tron actually works under the hood and why it's so fast. Under the hood, Tron is powered by a system called Delegated Proof of Stake, or DPoS. This means, unlike Bitcoin, where anyone with enough computing power can mine blocks, Tron users vote for a group of 27 super representatives who are in charge of validating transactions and securing the network. This approach makes Tron incredibly fast. Blocks are confirmed every few seconds, and also energy efficient compared to proof-of-work blockchains. The voting process is done using TRX, the native token. Anyone who holds TRX can freeze their tokens to gain voting power and support their preferred representatives, creating a feedback loop between users and network stability. Once selected, super representatives earn rewards for their work and often share a portion with the voters who backed them. This governance model has allowed Tron to scale up quickly while still involving the community. On a technical level, Tron also includes its own smart contract platform called the Tron Virtual Machine, TVM, which is compatible with Ethereum's Solidity language. This means developers can port over apps from Ethereum with minimal changes. Tron's consensus model also ensures extremely low transaction costs, which makes it ideal for sending stablecoins and building lightweight dApps. The system is constantly running, handling thousands of transactions per second without relying on expensive or complicated off-chain solutions. So in simple terms, Tron works like a high-speed, low-cost, community-run highway for digital value and applications, one that prioritizes performance over decentralization dogma. You're probably wondering how Tron achieves such high speeds with virtually no fees. Well, that's exactly what we'll cover next. Tron's performance is one of its biggest advantages. The network can handle over 2,000 transactions per second, compared to Ethereum's average of around 15 before scaling upgrades. This speed is achieved because of its delegated proof-of-stake consensus, where only a small number of trusted validators, super representatives, produce blocks. This reduces congestion, speeds up confirmations, and dramatically cuts down processing costs. On Tron, sending tokens, including stablecoins like USDT, costs a fraction of a cent, often less than $0.001. That's almost free, which is why Tron is often the platform of choice for crypto users in emerging markets. For people in countries like Nigeria, Venezuela, or the Philippines, where traditional banking is expensive or unreliable, the ability to send money instantly and for free is a game changer. While many other blockchains are still experimenting with Layer 2 solutions or gas optimizations, Tron just works. Its speed and low cost make it especially useful for stablecoin transfers, day-to-day payments, and high-frequency interactions. Of course, this efficiency comes at a trade-off: decentralization. With only 27 validators controlling the network at any time, some critics argue that Tron resembles more of a centralized payment network than a truly open blockchain. Still, for the average user, especially someone focused on getting value from A to B, the practicality often outweighs the philosophy. Tron's ability to process billions in transfers every day without slowing down is what's kept it relevant long after the initial hype faded. Now that we've seen how the network runs, let's zoom in on the fuel that powers it all: TRX, the native token of the Tron ecosystem. Whether you're making a simple transaction, voting for a validator, or interacting with a smart contract, you'll need TRX to get it done. When users send tokens, including stablecoins like USDT, they often need to lock up or burn a tiny amount of TRX for network bandwidth or energy, two resources that power Tron's fee system. But beyond that, TRX plays a much larger role. Users can stake TRX to gain voting rights and participate in network governance. By staking, they support super representatives, validators, who in turn distribute staking rewards back to participants. This creates a basic form of passive income and incentivizes user engagement. TRX is also used across Tron-based DeFi platforms for lending, liquidity mining, and token swaps, as well as within games and NFT apps. While Tron isn't as dominant in NFTs or gaming as Ethereum or Solana, it does have a growing ecosystem, and TRX is the medium of exchange within that system. TRX can also be used to collateralize other assets, lock into smart contracts, and pay transaction fees on Tron's associated services. In short, TRX acts like the operating currency of a self-contained economy. Whether you're a user sending stablecoins, a developer launching a smart contract, or a validator trying to secure the network, TRX is at the center of it all. Its role continues to expand as Tron builds more services and applications on-chain. Let's now turn to one of the biggest reasons Tron is used every single day: stablecoins, and especially Tether, USDT. Stablecoins like USDT have become the lifeblood of crypto transactions, and Tron is at the heart of it all. While many people assume Ethereum or Solana handle most stablecoin transfers, Tron quietly dominates this sector in sheer volume. In fact, more than half of all USDT transactions now occur on the Tron network. Why? Because it's dirt cheap and lightning fast. For people sending money across borders, especially in regions like Southeast Asia, Latin America, or Africa, those two features matter more than anything else. On Tron, sending USDT costs just a fraction of a cent and settles in seconds. A game changer for remittances, informal commerce, or peer-to-peer savings. This makes it especially appealing in countries with expensive banking systems or high inflation, where USDT on Tron can function as a digital dollar for everyday use. You don't need a bank account, just a phone and a wallet app. This has made Tron the invisible rails for billions of dollars in monthly payments. People use it to send wages home, buy goods, and protect their money from currency crashes. While other chains chase hype or NFT trends, Tron carved out a practical daily use role with stablecoins. That's not flashy, but it's effective. So we know Tron is great for moving money, but what else can you actually do on it today? While Tron started with a big dream of decentralizing entertainment, its ecosystem has since evolved toward more practical financial tools. The most active use cases today revolve around DeFi apps, stablecoin movement, and lightweight dApps. You can lend or borrow crypto, trade on decentralized exchanges, or earn yield from staking, similar to what Ethereum and BNB chain offer, but with far lower fees and faster speeds. Gaming and NFTs do exist on Tron, but they don't dominate the network. Unlike chains like Solana that lean into cultural or visual experiences, Tron's user base tends to focus more on function than flash. That means payment apps, small business tools, or utility-focused dApps get more attention than collectible monkey pictures or speculative metaverse plots. Tron also supports token creation, so projects can launch their own assets, whether they're stablecoins, reward tokens, or anything else. And for developers, building on Tron is relatively simple thanks to its compatibility with basic Ethereum tools and Java-based languages. Still, the average user on Tron today isn't there to build or speculate. They're there to move money quickly, earn yield, or participate in simple DeFi tools. It's more about function than hype, and that's part of why Tron continues to quietly grow, even when it's not in the headlines. But with all this activity, there's still one big question that comes up again and again. How decentralized is Tron, really? This has been one of Tron's biggest criticisms since the beginning. While the platform claims to be decentralized, its structure tells a more nuanced story. Tron uses a delegated proof-of-stake system, where only 27 super representatives, elected by TRX holders, are responsible for validating transactions. In theory, this gives the community control. But in practice, critics argue that a small group of players dominate the voting process, and many believe that Justin Sun and his allies still wield significant behind-the-scenes power. Compare that to Ethereum, where thousands of independent validators are online, and the difference becomes clear. Tron's small validator set means it's faster and more efficient, but also potentially more exposed to manipulation or censorship if a few actors coordinate. Additionally, major decisions and development updates often appear top-down, with little input from a diverse open-source community. That's why some call Tron a centralized blockchain with decentralized features. And for purists, that's a red flag. But here's the thing. Most Tron users don't seem to care. For them, what matters is that the network works. It's fast, cheap, and doesn't go down. So while the decentralization debate matters from a technical or philosophical standpoint, the average user just wants stable performance. Still, it's a valid concern, especially if Tron wants to win trust in more regulated or institutional environments. Let's wrap up the big picture by comparing Tron with the network it's most often measured against, Ethereum. While Ethereum is the original smart contract platform and remains the most trusted by developers and institutions, it's also more expensive, slower, and heavily congested during peak times. Tron, in contrast, is optimized for speed and affordability, which makes it highly appealing for users who prioritize transaction efficiency over ecosystem depth. Ethereum has a broader developer community, thousands of dApps, and innovations like Layer 2 rollups and zero-knowledge proofs. Tron doesn't compete in those areas. Instead, it's built a lean, fast ecosystem focused on a narrower use case, namely payments and token transfers, especially stablecoins. It's often described as the highway to Ethereum's smart city. Ethereum provides more freedom and flexibility, but Tron delivers consistency and utility at lower cost. One platform is slower but rich in innovation. The other is faster but more limited in scope. So if you're a developer looking to build something complex and unique, Ethereum is probably your go-to. But if you just want a cheap, reliable way to send digital money or build a lightweight DeFi app, Tron might be the better choice. In this sense, the two chains don't cancel each other out. They serve different purposes for different users. But when it comes to daily usage volume, especially in stablecoins, Tron has found a lane that even Ethereum hasn't dominated. That's a major reason Tron continues to stay relevant despite its critics. Now, to close things out, it's important to examine the biggest concerns and weaknesses facing Tron today. The most glaring issue is the perception of centralization, not just among validators, but in governance and branding. Justin Sun's heavy influence on Tron's direction has been both a strength and a liability. While his marketing and funding have kept the project alive and visible, critics argue that too much control lies in the hands of one person and a small circle of developers. There's also the matter of innovation. Tron has built out a functional network, but it doesn't lead the crypto space in new ideas or technology. There are relatively few standout dApps, and many of the top protocols are clones or forks of Ethereum-based platforms. While it excels in moving money, it doesn't inspire the same level of developer excitement as chains like Ethereum, Solana, or Avalanche. Another risk is regulatory scrutiny. Tron's heavy use for stablecoin transfers, especially USDT, has raised eyebrows among regulators, particularly in countries cracking down on unauthorized money movement. If regulations tighten, Tron's dominance in this area could be challenged. Finally, there's a branding problem. Outside of Asia, many in the crypto world see Tron as a second-tier project, regardless of how well it performs technically. That stigma may limit its potential, especially with Western developers and institutions. Still, Tron remains one of the most used blockchains by transaction volume, a reminder that in crypto, usability often beats reputation. And with that line, we finished today's video. Now you have enough information about both XLM and TRX, and you can make your own decision which one is better for you. And if you want to take your knowledge about crypto to a higher level, make sure to check one of these two videos you see on your screen. Before you leave, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with someone that may benefit from information that we're given. Best of luck, and see you soon on next Bitcoin Academy video.